Welcome back to another deep dive. It's really great to be here. Today, we're diving into something that, well, feels like it's everywhere, artificial intelligence, the AI revolution. We got some great source material from you, including a really insightful chat with Ann Schumann, co-founder of Scalar, and our mission today. Let's try to cut through the noise because, you hear these two extremes. On one side, AI is creating these like unimaginable opportunities, unbelievable salaries. But then there's this other feeling, this fear. Is AI going to take my job? Is my career done for? So let's unpack that. Let's figure out what's really happening with AI right now and what might be coming next.
That's a great way to frame it. And what's really fascinating, I think, isn't just that jobs are changing. It's the speed and the level of tasks being affected. It's not just manual work like in the Industrial Revolution. This time, it's hitting tasks we thought needed, human brains. But if you look at history, we've seen these big shifts before, right? Think about assembly lines or the dot-com boom, totally new jobs, new millionaires appearing almost overnight. So this deep dive, hopefully, offers a kind of blueprint for people serious about tech careers or even just curious about, how to navigate this AI wave because it's moving fast.
Okay, yeah. So let's tackle that tension head on. Is AI a job killer or a job creator? The sources definitely bring up that fear that AI will just, eat jobs. But then you have someone like Ann Schumann, who was actually at Meta with Zuckerberg early on, giving these, frankly, astounding figures.
Yeah, exactly. And the core idea isn't necessarily job loss, but job transformation. The nature of the work changes, often for the better, moving towards more strategic roles. Right. What we're seeing is a classic, maybe extreme supply and demand issue. Our source mentioned Meta, Mark Zuckerberg's company, offering average salaries around $10 million for their core AI team.
$1 million, average.
Yeah, it's about 85 crore rupees a year. Incredible. And Ann Schumann even mentioned a friend worked on Instagram's ML recommendations, got an offer for $5.5 million. That's, 40 crore rupees?
Wow.
These aren't just like one-offs. They show the massive gap, the chasm between the demand for top AI talent and who's actually available. It really shows you the value shift.
Those numbers are just staggering. But are these sustainable? Or is it just a temporary bubble, like a gold rush? Because it sounds like it's not just the big tech players. It feels like a wider shift in how specialized talent is adopted.
A real gold rush, right? That's a fair question. But the signs point to something more fundamental than a bubble. The demand is spreading because AI is becoming core to every industry. And if you connect that to the bigger picture, the opportunities go way beyond just like coding for Facebook. Even within computer science, AI is creating deeper specializations. And Human highlights two key roles. You've got machine learning engineers, they're like the architects building the systems, the infrastructure, the pipelines. And then you have the scientists, or maybe machine learning scientists is more accurate. They're the ones creating and training the actual models. And when you get really deep into these specialized areas, the talent pool just shrinks dramatically. And that's when salaries go through the roof.
Right. And it's not just Google, Meta, Microsoft hiring these people. That's a common mistake people make, isn't it?
Yeah.
Your sources clearly say big banks, financial institutions, insurance companies, even hospitals, they all desperately need AI engineers. And the why is really interesting. It's because they want to keep their data on premise.
Precisely. Yeah, they can't just upload sensitive client data or patient records to, say, ChatGPT or some public cloud AI. They have regulations, massive security concerns. They need total control. So they need their own internal AI, built in-house, managed in-house. That means a huge demand for specialists who can build and run these private AI systems. That's a massive, often hidden driver.
Okay, that makes total sense. So AI is changing core operations everywhere. But what about this co-pilot idea? The concept that AI isn't replacing you, but it's like an assistant handling maybe, 80% of the routine stuff? How real is that?
Oh, the co-pilot idea is huge, and probably where most people will feel the impact first. Imagine AI taking over, like you said, maybe 80% of the repetitive data-heavy tasks. It frees up humans to do the higher-level stuff, strategy, creativity, complex problem-solving, things that need, human insight. And Human mentioned Scalar actually built a learning co-pilot about 1.5 years ago to help students. And it's not just theory. IIT Matters is now adopting it for their online programs. So it shows how AI can empower people, not just replace them. It shifts the human role upwards.
Wow. Okay, so AI as a digital assistant is powerful. But what about the physical world? Robots, cars, drones. How does AI play out there? Hardware meets software. What kind of jobs does that create?
Now that's where it gets really tangible moving off the screen. Think about Gahan AI. It's a company in Scalar's Innovation Lab. They're building autonomous vehicles, like self-driving golf carts almost, for risky transport in mines. Point A to B, no human driver needed in dangerous spots. Or that Chinese company mentioned building robots to clean ship propellers underwater. Super dangerous, difficult job for humans. These applications use computer vision machines literally seeing and understanding the world to do useful, often hazardous tasks. Even things like, say, monitoring forests for animals. Instead of someone watching screens all night, AI can detect an animal and raise an alarm instantly. So it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other dangerous or just plain tedious human jobs could AI take over, making things safer or more efficient? The potential seems huge.
Okay, so given all this potential, this changing landscape, what does it mean for you, the listener? If you want to be part of this, get those career jumps. And Human really emphasizes one thing to start: curiosity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the bedrock. His point is, if you're genuinely curious about how stuff works, you'll naturally dig deeper. You'll ask the why. It's not just passive interest. It's actively wanting to understand systems, pull them apart, figure out how to make them better. He uses the analogy of electricity, right? Invented in the 1750s, but it took like 100 years for the first light bulb. People had to explore what it could do.
Yeah.
AI is moving faster, much faster, but we're still early, still just scratching the surface. So that deep dive into a field driven by curiosity helps you spot problems AI can solve. That's the real skill.
Curiosity is the starting point. Makes sense. So if that's the fuel, what specific skills should you focus on? Your source highlights two main areas within AI. First is machine learning. Basically, teaching machines to find patterns in data and make predictions, like how Amazon figures out delivery times by predicting demand, or how supermarkets cut waste by forecasting what people will buy. Huge amounts of money, serious efficiency gains, depend on these algorithms finding patterns in all that data. And then there's deep learning, which is like a more advanced part of machine learning.
Exactly. It uses these things called neural networks. You can kind of picture them as layers, a bit like a brain, letting machines find really complex patterns, stuff humans might miss.
Okay. And within deep learning, there are specializations.
Right. Two big ones are mentioned. Computer vision, that's machines seeing and understanding images or video. Think facial recognition on Facebook or self-driving cars. You mentioned riding in one in SFO. They often drive better because they follow rules perfectly. See 360 degrees.
Yeah, it was impressive. A bit unnerving, but impressive.
And the other is natural language processing, or NLP. That's teaching machines to understand and use human language, like your phone's voice assistant or translation tools, or even just predicting the next word when you're typing a message. That's NLP at work.
Got it. So ML, deep learning, computer vision, NLP, these are key areas.
Definitely. And this specialization connects directly to career growth. And Human points out that starting salaries, maybe they're similar for a general software engineer versus an AI engineer at a big company. You know, 150, 200K in Silicon Valley, maybe 30, 40 lakhs here in India.
Okay.
But the growth trajectory for specialized AI roles is much, much steeper. We're seeing senior AI folks in India earning 3 to 4 crore rupees. That's a massive jump. It really underscores the value of going deep, becoming a true expert in one area instead of just chasing the latest trend. It's about that sustained focus.
That growth difference is huge, a key takeaway for anyone planning long term.
Now, switching gears slightly, what about India's role in all this? And Human in the source material seems really bullish on India's potential. What stands out to you? India has this incredible advantage, right? We are the youth capital of the world. The sheer number of young people is enormous. That means a massive pool of potential talent. And let's be honest, many top AI and ML engineers globally, especially in the Valley, are Indian or of Indian origin.
Sure.
So the raw talent, the human capital is definitely here. Plus, software, especially AI software, can be built anywhere and sold everywhere. Geography isn't the barrier it used to be.
That's such a powerful combination. And we're seeing it play out, aren't we? With these global capability centers, the GCCs, like Barclays, HSBC, JP Morgan. They're setting up huge engineering hubs here year after year, expanding their footprint. Because the talent is good and it's more affordable than elsewhere. And Humans even hopes we'll see more Indian companies building niche products for, say, the UAE or Europe.
Absolutely. But there is a significant hurdle. India isn't, at least not yet, a major manufacturing hub like China. We excel at software, no question. But we lack that really robust ecosystem for hardware, advanced chips, the whole supply chain you need for robotics or complex AI that interacts with the physical world. China, for example, has factories just dedicated to recording human movements to train robots, that kind of infrastructure. We don't have that scale yet. So the big question is, Can India bridge that manufacturing gap to really play in the hardware side of the AI revolution? Or will our strength remain primarily in software? It's a critical challenge.
A really critical challenge.
Yeah.
And that brings us right to something else heavily discussed in the sources. The state of engineering education in India. The numbers are pretty sobering, like 1.5 million engineering grads a year, but maybe only 10-20% are actually job ready for today's tech world. What's going on there?
Yeah, it's a major bottleneck. And Human really breaks it down. 3 main issues. First, just the sheer number of institutes that popped up. Rapid growth often meant quality dropped. Many run like businesses, not focused on real education. He even told that story about his own brother having to memorize code for exams. That's just tragic, right? Teaches nothing useful.
Well, yeah, memorizing code.
Second, a real lack of industry practitioners teaching. Most faculty haven't worked in the field recently, so it's hard to keep up with how fast tech changes. He used the analogy, it's like a PE teacher trying to teach high-level cricket batting versus having Rohit Sharma teach it. The practical experience is missing.
Right.
And third, the curriculum itself is often way outdated, like 10, 15 years old in some cases. The fundamentals might hold, maybe 20, 30%, but the rest needs constant refreshing. Institutions might just slap blockchain on the syllabus without real depth.
That's a tough picture. So how do you even start fixing that? The sources talk about Anshuman's own path, which is pretty interesting. He was at Facebook back in, 2009, 2010, early days, led the Messenger team. Then came back to India around 2014, partly because he saw this education gap firsthand, even with his brother. And he felt like what he did at Facebook, it wasn't impossible magic. Others could do it if they just had the right environment, the right guidance.
Exactly. That motivation led him to start InterviewBit first, that free coding practice site. Huge success. But he realized pretty quickly that content alone wasn't enough for India. What was missing was guidance, mentorship, a structured path. And that led to Scalar. Initially, online programs like 12-18 months for upskilling, but then, more recently, they launched a full-blown 4-year residential undergrad program, the Scalar School of Technology. Started just a couple of years ago. His thinking seems to be, kind of like the original IIT vision, you need to nurture that top 1% of talent to really drive change.
And the way they're doing it at Scalar sounds really different. They actually bring in practitioners to teach, right? People from Google, Amazon, Facebook, even Flipkart's former CTO.
Yes, exactly. Real industry leaders teaching. And the curriculum isn't fixed. They co-design it with industry and update it constantly based on what's actually needed now, AI, ML, AR, VR.
And they have an innovation lab.
Yeah, where students aren't just learning theory, they're building real stuff. Robotics, AI projects, drones, it sounds like a whole ecosystem. Mentors, practical projects, cutting-edge curriculum, all aimed at producing not just employable grads, but maybe the top 1% who can lead India's tech future, creating innovators, not just employees.
Ah, okay. What a journey we've taken in this deep dive.
Yeah.
From the big picture AI impact, cutting through the fear, seeing the huge opportunities, we got into the specifics of skills, those eye-watering salaries, and India's unique position that revises to the potential and the challenges. And that Scalar story and Human's journey, it really shows the power of tackling a real problem head-on.
It really does. We've seen how critical depth and curiosity are, how AI demands specialization. Which leads to maybe the final question for you, the listener. If this future does hinge on curiosity, on going deep, how will you cultivate that in your own learning, in your career? Are you going to be someone who just watches the wave, or someone who learns to ride it, maybe even steer it a little, by applying that knowledge to create something new?
We really hope this deep dive has given you maybe not all the answers, but a solid blueprint to start thinking about that. The opportunities are definitely out there, huge opportunities. But as we've heard, it takes more than just scratching the surface. It takes real curiosity, dedication, and that commitment to keep learning, keep doing, stay curious, keep exploring, and we'll see you on the next deep dive.